Welcome back to the Create Harmony podcast. This is a podcast about refreshing your life and really savoring your blessings. We believe in setting an intentional rhythm, and together we learn how to use our imagination as a way of listening to God. If you are looking for a place to raise your well-being, you're going to find it right here. And in this place, we'll take just a few minutes to celebrate everyday joys and to remind ourselves how to notice goodness all around us. So this is episode 85, and I am your host, Sally Burlington. So over the last few weeks, we've been talking about all sorts of summer things, and last week we talked about all of our camp memories. And my hope is that revisiting those moments, that'll help you attract more fun in your life. We want you to have a fun summer. So while I was thinking about summer fun, I thought a little bit about adventure because, we think about traveling and having lots of adventures in the summer. Because sometimes at camp, even when we were on the camp topic, you encounter adventure in one level or another. So let me share with you, if you haven't already figured this out, if you don't already know this, I am not much of an adventure seeker. I do not want to climb any tall mountains. I do not want to scuba dive deep in the ocean. I do not want to skydive or go into space. On the Enneagram, I'm a 9, and that means I like peaceful things, and I like those peaceful things much better than adventuresome ones. But even I want to adopt a spirit of curiosity about my life, and I like to learn new things. So I've really been thinking about adventure, the concept of adventure, and considering whether maybe adventure has a different meaning for me than it does for some people. So let me explain what I mean. Maybe adventure for me comes on a much smaller scale. So adventure for me might be trying out a new haircut or growing something new in my garden. I'm really trying to embrace adventure where I find it in my life. And I have a really close friend, and a few years ago, she and I adopted a question that we had heard before that we ask each other anytime things go off plan. And that question is, was this an adventure or an ordeal? You might have heard this question before. And the thing I like about the question is remembering that things don't always go as planned, but that doesn't mean that they can't be fun. So most of the time when my friend asks me this question, my answer is adventure. There have been a few ordeals sprinkled in there, but most of the time I try to view it as an adventure. And one such adventure that we recently did around our house was a visit to the watermelon lady. So here in our town, I had seen it on social media that there was this woman who was called the watermelon lady. And what it said on social media was that she sells all sorts of different types of watermelon, along with tropical fruits and other things, and that you could go there and sample the different watermelons and buy interesting things. So my husband and one of my daughters and I headed out to find her. And it was a Sunday afternoon. She's there from Tuesday through Sunday. So it was a Sunday afternoon. She literally has a stand on the side of the road. So you pull off the road and park on the shoulder, and then you get in line behind people, and it's hot because we live in the South and this is the middle of the summer. So when we got there, the line in front of us was about, I guess there were maybe 10 or 15 people in the line. And so we waited our turn, and we were watching people talk to the watermelon lady. She has all these big bins with all the watermelons and fruits, and she had some papayas and some coconuts and mangoes, whatever. So when our time came around, when it got to be our turn, they were out of all the red watermelons. And we really didn't have in mind what we were wanting to buy. We were just there for the adventure. So we decided to try a yellow watermelon and an orange watermelon. Now, I have no idea what they do to get a watermelon to be yellow or orange. I don't know. And on the outside, they look exactly alike. You can't tell which. When we got them home, we thought, well, which one is the yellow one? Which one is the orange one? But we just picked one and we cut it open, and the first one we cut was the orange watermelon. We cut it up and enjoyed it. It was delicious. It tasted just like a red watermelon, but it was orange. We had some with our dinner. And then we made watermelon slushies. So if you're not familiar with the watermelon slushie, it is a really good, healthy summer treat. So you just take your cubed watermelon, you cut it into pieces. You add some lime juice, some fresh mint, and some ice, and you blend all that up. And then you have a cool and refreshing drink for a hot summer day. So maybe you can have that little adventure throughout your summer. So then after we finished the orange watermelon, we sliced up the yellow watermelon. And when you slice up a yellow watermelon and put it in a bowl, it looks exactly like pineapple. I mean, it just looked like a big bowl of pineapple. But then when you put it in your mouth, it tastes like watermelon. So it was different. It was interesting. So it was very yummy. So for those of you who are looking to climb Mount Everest, I just can't wait to hear about it. But in the meantime, I will be trying out my different types of watermelon and making watermelon slushies with them this summer. And that will be enough adventure for me. So for our closing today, I'm going to give you guys a garden update since we've been on the topic of fresh produce and summer. And we've been growing a garden. I've talked about this in past episodes. And our garden has gotten so big. We harvested our first cantaloupe. And there are about 6 more cantaloupes on the vine. Some of them are between the size of a baseball and a grapefruit, and they don't look like they're quite ready yet, but we're going to get some more cantaloupe. We still have way too much basil. I have given away so much basil to friends and neighbors, and I still have this huge basil plant. So I probably need to get freezing it so that in the off season I can have some basil in all my cooking. We also have lots of other herbs like thyme, oregano, mint. We have lemon balm. We have a sage that's just going crazy. It's getting really, really big. Our tomatoes are really producing. I had one plant with so many tomatoes that the branch broke off and all these green tomatoes broke off with it. So I made some fried green tomatoes for dinner, and then I left the rest of them on the windowsill, and hopefully they'll ripen up. We've had a few dahlia blooms, but there are lots more buds on there getting ready to open. Our peppers are going bonkers, and we've even gotten a few ripe blueberries. So I think I told you in one of the previous episodes that we also have a lot of fruit trees. So we have an apple tree that has lots and lots of small apples, and a few of them are getting a little bit of a red tinge to them. Since we moved into our house last fall, I mean, it came with these fruit trees, so we don't know what kind of apples they are. So we're not quite sure when it's time to harvest them, but we're going to give them a little more time because they're pretty small and none of them are red at this point. Our fig tree is covered with figs, and a few of them are starting to ripen, but most of them are still pretty hard. We have a pomegranate bush that has about 6 pomegranates on it. They're still green, and I'm assuming that we're going to need to wait until the fall to harvest those because that's when you usually see pomegranates. So we're not doing anything with those right now. We have some grapevines, but we haven't gotten any grapes on those yet. Not sure what's going on there. I don't think those are getting quite enough sun, so we may need to work on that, but no grapes yet. So overall, our garden project is going well. We're still tweaking our irrigation a little bit, but overall it's going well. We do have some bunnies in our yard, and they have nibbled all around the bottom of our cantaloupe vines that are growing over the side of the raised bed. So far, the bunnies haven't gotten up in the bed because it's a little too tall for them, but we have enjoyed spotting sweet bunnies. We, in fact, even had a deer. We have a fenced-in backyard, but we had one deer in there last week who just sort of came through. And once our dog got out there, the deer jumped over the fence and left. So our garden project at this point is an adventure, and it's not an ordeal, and that is great. We're excited about it, and it seems to be going well. Hopefully you are finding lots of adventures in whatever scale you appreciate in your life. And I'm hoping that your summer is full of fun and adventuresome experiences. We'll be back next week with some more talk about how you can refresh your life, and hope that you will join in then too. And until next time, peace.